Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video I'll be teaching you guys how to turn this ready-made bra cup into a 3-part corset cup just by covering it. We're going to achieve this using a masking tape. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, keep on watching and let's get started. I'm going to bring in my masking tape and I'm going to start placing the tape on my cup. I'll make sure I leave about half an inch allowance before placing it on the cup, and I'll also leave half an inch allowance on the base of the cup. I'll cut out the excess masking tape. I'll make sure I still leave half an inch on the base, and then I'll place another one. I'll make sure that this one overlaps the first one that I placed, and then I'm going to cut out the excess from the end also. So I'll make sure the next one is also covering this particular one, so I'm not going to leave any space on the masking tape. The second one is covering the first one, the third one is covering the second one. I'll keep doing that till I cover this whole bra cup. So you guys can see that there is no space, okay? Everything is just overlapping one another. So I'll continue like this till I cover the whole bra cup, okay? So just take your time and do this. This is the most important part of this video. Once you get this correctly, then you are good to go. So guys, I'm done covering my bra cup and this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and trim out this excess masking tape. So make sure you don't trim your bra cup. The only thing you're trimming is the excess masking tape. So after doing that, guys, this is what we have. So you can see that everything is all nice and clean. So you have to take your time to do this in order to achieve a very neat finishing. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my cup into 2 equal halves, just like you see me doing, okay? After doing that, I'm going to use my marker to mark the middle point of this cup, and I'm going to connect into a straight line just like you see me doing. After doing that, I'll go ahead and open up my cup and this is what I have. So if you want to achieve a 2-part corset with this, then you have to stop here. But like I said before, I'll be doing a 3-part corset. So I'm going to take my tape and I'll mark 2 inches on this end. I'm going to indicate that with a dot. On the center, I'll mark 2 inches, and on the other side, I'll mark 2 inches. And then I'll go ahead and connect the 2 inches points on the center, on the 2 sides. I'm going to connect them together. So guys, after connecting my lines, this is what I have. So we have our 3-part corset. I'm going to go ahead and label. Labeling is very important because it helps you to know which cup goes where. So I'm going to label number 1 and number 1, number 2 and 3, and I'm going to make my arrows for me to know that that is where I'm going to join when I'm sewing. So remember, number 1 is just one piece, okay? So I have my center front and I also have my side front. So label when you can label, okay? It's very, very important. The next thing I'll do is to remove this masking tape from my cup. So this is where it gets really tricky. You have to take your time to do this. Remember, you worked hard to achieve this and you don't want to spoil it, so take your time and remove it carefully. So I've gone ahead to do that and this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and split my cup. So I'll remove number 1 and then I'll cut out number 2 and number 3, okay? So after doing that, guys, we have our 3 parts corset. What I'm going to do is to place the masking tape on my pattern paper, and I'm going to add allowance all the way around because we'll be needing allowance to stitch our fabric together. So I'm going to place number 1, number 2, and number 3 in such a way that I'll have allowance on the up, on the down, and on the sides. Okay, so after placing them, I'm going to go ahead and mark half an inch all the way around. I've gone ahead to add half an inch allowance all the way around my pattern. What I'll do is to make my arrows again, and then I'll go ahead and cut. So guys, after cutting out, this is what I have. So I'm going to place my pattern on my fabric. We've already added our allowance, so there is no need for me to add any allowance on my fabric, but make sure you make these arrows. Label where you need to label and notch where you need to notch. Is very important, okay? So you don't go and join 2 different cups together and your cup will now come out flat. So I'm going to place my pattern on my fabric, and I'm going to cut out 4 pieces each for these patterns. And if you have interfacing, go ahead and iron your interfacing to both the lining and the main fabric. So I went ahead to cut out 4 pieces because I'm using my fabric as my lining. So your lining should be 2 and your fabric should be 2. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and notch the part that has the arrow so that I'll know that that is my center and that is where I'm going to join. If you like, you can notch the down or the up so that you'll be able to differentiate your patterns, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and take one number 3, and then I'll take one number 2. So since I've already notched, I know where I'm supposed to sew. So please, notch is very important. I'm going to place them on each other, right sides facing right sides, just like you see me doing. And I'm going to take in the half an inch. Remember, while we were drafting, we added half an inch allowance on all the sides of the pattern. So after placing them on each other, right sides facing each other, I'm going to go ahead and mark the half an inch, okay? I'm going to use the half an inch to join the 2 pieces together. So in order for you not to make any mistake, you can just mark it using your chalk, and then you're going to follow the line while sewing. So guys, after sewing, this is what it looks like. I'm going to open it up like this, and then I'm going to fold the half an inch. I'm going to fold it down. So you can go ahead and iron first. You iron the seam open, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew 1/4 inch. I'll place the seam allowance down just like the way we create channel for boning casing, and then I'm going to sew 1/4 inch down all the way like this. 1/4 inch is half of half an inch. I'll sew on this side, and then I'll sew on the other side. That way the allowance is going to stay flat after sewing. So guys, after sewing the other part, this is what it looks like on the outside. You can see that it's really neat. Alternatively, you can decide to sew your bias tape. Just use your bias to design that center, okay? It depends on what you want. So I'm going to bring in my number 1, and I'm going to place number 1 on number 2 and number 3 like this. Okay, so make sure you pin down, okay, so that everything is going to be accurate by the time you are done sewing. I'm going to pin like this, and then I'm going to use my chalk to mark half an inch. Okay, the half an inch allowance that we left earlier, I'm going to mark it all the way to the end, and I'm going to sew on that line. So guys, after sewing number 1 in place, this is what I have. So what I'm going to do next is to turn the allowance towards the fabric, towards the cup, just like you see me doing, and then I'm going to top stitch. I'll be using 1/4 inch, which is half an inch. I'll sew all the way to the end like this. Okay, so after doing that, guys, this is what I have on my cup. So I'm going to repeat this same process for the remaining 3 cups that we have. Like I said before, I'll be using my fabric as my lining. So whatever you do for the fabric, go ahead and do for your lining piece. So I'm going to do that with the remaining 3 cups that we have, and I'll come back and show you guys the next step. So guys, I've gone ahead to do that, and these are my main fabrics. Okay, I went ahead to label my center front and my side front so that I'll not miss them together. And I also have my lining piece. I repeated the same process for my 2 lining piece. So we're going to work on the main piece. What I'll do next is to bring my bra cup. I'm going to fix my bra cup inside the cup. I'll place it like this so that you guys can see. You can see that the fabric that we have is enough to cover our cup. I'm going to fold my bra cup into 2 equal halves like this, and I'll use my marker to mark the middle point of the bra cup. So I'm going to place the middle point where I marked to meet the middle point of my fabric. So the middle point is touching the middle point. The middle point of the bra cup is touching the middle point of my fabric. I'll go ahead and pin all the way around. Make sure your fabric is laying flat on the bra cup, and make sure it's not bumpy anywhere. Take your time to do this. Make sure everything is as flat as possible. After doing that, guys, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do is to sew around my bra cup on my sewing machine. So don't sew on the bra cup, sew on the space that was provided on the bra cup. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and sew on that space all the way around. So guys, after sewing, this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and remove my pins. This is what it looks like on the outside. You can see that nowhere is bumpy, everything is flat. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my pins. After doing that, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to trim out the excess fabric on this cup. So guys, after doing that, you can see the outcome of the cup. You can see that it's really nice and clean. And yeah, that is all for this particular tutorial. Please stay tuned for the sewing version of this particular corset top. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Please don't forget to like, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. It's very important. Leave your comments in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next one.